My contract with Gaumont British was of the type that has since grown unhappily common in our studios, a waiting contract. That is to say, I was standing about for months, neither working for Gaumont British nor farmed out to other companies. And then suddenly I played the title roles in Jew Sus, King of the Damned, and The Passing of the Third Floor Back in rapid succession. Neither of the first two was a great success, although my playing in them was praised by the critics. To Jew Sus particularly, they said I contributed a performance of great power and sensitivity. My role in The Passing of the Third Floor Back was the most difficult I had ever played, and by way of making it a little more difficult, I had to play scenes for retakes of King of the Damned while I was doing the third floor back, which is not the way to make good pictures. Then my Gaumont British contract expired and I signed with Alexander Korda to make 2 films. That was nearly 2.5 years ago, and I still have those 2 films to make. Alexander Korda is a very good friend of mine. I know as well as most people what difficulties he has had to contend with. Therefore, it would be absurd to complain of disappointment. Because of his difficulties, I agreed to play in 2 films that were not strictly in my contract, though they were made at Denham. One was Victor Savel's Dark Journey, which I think was beautifully made, and I am quite happy about it. The other was Under the Red Robe, a costume romance, perhaps not too easy to produce. But now, my contract with Korda still stands. I am to make 2 pictures, and these I want to be good. By good, I mean 2 things. I want them to be, first and foremost, good entertainment, because that is, after all, the thing by which we stand or fall. And I want them to be important. Now, there are various meanings attached to this word important, as applied to films. Some Hollywood companies, and some British, in imitation, refuse to regard any film as important, unless it costs at least £50,000 more than it is worth. That to them is the touchstone. I think the test should be, mind you, this is just my personal opinion. Well, I think the test of an important film is, will it be remembered? I suppose every one of us wants to be remembered by something. We like, if possible, to raise a monument to ourselves. And to a film actor, that monument must be a film in which he has appeared. Always with every new film I do, I think, perhaps this will be the film by which I want to be remembered. I have a feeling of deep gratitude to England for not typing me, for giving me some fine parts to play. Rome Express, The Wandering Jew, FPI, I was a spy. What a variety. But is any of these the picture of my career? Somehow I hope not. I am told that my name is still most highly honored in connection with The Student of Prague, which was a silent picture made 10 or 11 years ago in Germany. A sad state of affairs. And so I want to make a picture that will be remembered. Now, if you think of the most outstanding films, you will find they have had simple but dynamic subjects, and often based on the life of a man. That is what I want to do. There are 2 men's lives I wish to play on the screen, and each in the hands of Alex Korda is capable of being made into a great screen story. Both of them were men who changed their minds. The first is Alfred Bernard Nobel, a Swede who invented dynamite, and later blasting gelatine and ballistite, which was the forerunner of cordite. He made an enormous fortune out of the manufacture of explosives, and then he realized the tremendous harm explosives can do, and left the bulk of his fortune to the provision of prizes, 1/5 of which is awarded to the person who shall have most or best promoted the fraternity of nations, and the abolition or diminution of standing armies, and the formation and increase of peace congresses. Now, more than 40 years later, his discoveries are still supplying the basic arm of war, and the money he made out of them is still persuading men to peace. Can't you see a great subject for a film there? The other film? It's about a man you may not have heard of at all. He was a Swiss named Henri Dunant. He invented the Red Cross. That was in 1862. He was so appalled by the scenes he had witnessed in the war in Italy that he wrote and published at Geneva, a booklet entitled Un Souvenir de Solferino. He gave a heart-rending account of the sufferings of the wounded left to perish on the battlefield for lack of proper assistance, and urged the formation of societies for their care. From this little beginning grew the enormous International Red Cross Society of today. Oh, but I am growing so solemn. But the films need not be solemn. There is plenty of humor to be had and plenty of incident. I'll tell you something that is not generally known. I have had an opportunity of going to Hollywood, and I think I would be able to persuade them to let me appear in these films, about which I am so enthusiastic. But I have decided to stay here. After all, they are having their own troubles in Hollywood. People who have lately come from there tell us of violent upheavals in the industry, of drastic economies, of impending storm. I doubt very much whether they are really any better off than we are, as the whole film production of the world seems to be passing through the same critical stage. And I think when we all emerge, washed clean by the storm, we shall find that just as good, just as great films can and will be made here as in Hollywood or anywhere else.